Hey, everybody, welcome to today's session. We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. 1 minute and 30 seconds to be exact. All right, we'll get with it soon. All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to today's session. Can you hear me okay? Testing one, two, testing one, two. Awesome, fantastic. This is the final session of bootcamp. So let me just share out my screen to start today's session. All right. Let me just adjust those bars here. Perfect. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Brady here. So excited to see you. Final day of boot camp. So hope you can see me, hear me okay, and everything's going all right. Billy says yes. I'm going to take that. Awesome. So uh, thanks, everybody, for coming to today's session. Today, we're going to be looking at SEO. And the big world of SEO can be confusing. When I joined Vendasta, I didn't know a ton about SEO other than how to do SEO best practices on a website, but it was really just the start. I didn't fully understand the full picture. So when I was working with partners, I would actually jump on when they would go for the demonstrations with our SEO vendors. And I've been to dozens and dozens of them. At this point, I now feel very confident in my ability to explain, discuss, talk about SEO. And there's quite a bit of misconception around it as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually walk you through the platform. And I just want you to take a look at some of the products we have around this. So we're going to get into the platform, look at some products. But before I start, I want to start with actually one of my famous uh, starting questions here. And that is, how well do you understand SEO on a scale of 1 to 5? One being, I know the word SEO stands for search engine optimization. Number two being, I know a couple of things about SEO. I could optimize a little bit. Three being, I can optimize a website. Four being, I'm great at doing the external things. Five, you understand SEO inside and out. So we got Joshua giving us the 5, a 4, a 3, and a 2. Okay. This is quite a spread too as well. All right. And so the question was, for those of you who may have missed it, how strong do you feel about your SEO knowledge? And I asked you to drop it in the chat on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being really, really strong, 1 being I know the word. So I know what the word means, but I have no idea about the mechanics that drive it. 2 being I know some of the mechanics and so forth. Okay. So we've got quite a spread, but most people have at least some foundational understandings of SEO. Great. It's a place that we can work from. Okay. So if you look in the Vendasta Marketplace, we do have all kinds of solutions around SEO, and like getting through all of that can be a bit confusing. We will go into the platform, but I'm gonna change gears here a little bit and take you through this presentation that I have. So this is a demonstration, or this is a presentation that I've given quite a few times. And it's really about how consumers start that buying process online, right? Are they finding the website? What are the things that create that? Now, we know that when you are looking for a service, that there are a couple of different things that can pop up, right? Purchases, we know they begin with search. Active buyers, they search online for helpful products or uh, information, price comparisons, trustworthy reviews, and searchers skip often advertisements, right? They click on organic search results to find what they're looking for. And 84% of clicks are organic. I don't know about you guys, but I find myself as a marketer often skipping right past the ads. And Google, it's great for them because they only the people who are running the ads only pay for the clicks. So you think about it, it's just free real estate that you get to be there. But a lot of clicks are organic, and so why would you need to be on the first page of Google on search engines like Google? Well, because nearly every customer out there who is looking for products and services online, especially locally, starts that process online, as you know, through the customer journey. And think about how huge that is. They skip past the paid advertisements and go straight for the organic search results. So that means if the business isn't on the first page of the search results, you're out of the race before it even starts. And we know this through the customer journey. Oftentimes, cleaning up a lot of the things around the foundations for being online, listings, reputation, uh, getting a website that is optimized for this part of SEO as well. Listings, reputation, social, getting the website that's optimized, having content for that website. These are all things that impact and matter for SEO. And I really look at this in a couple of different ways, being there are different actions that we can do to help build this. Now, if you think about this, right, this is what we see. We always see the paid ads first, local and maps and organic. So if I was to go search something up today, if I was to say, um, okay, if I was to look up ice cream in Atlanta, Georgia, this is what it's going to pull up, right? Now, what's interesting is there's no ads here. Uh, Nobody's running ads because it's ice cream, but I can see the different results that are here. I see the maps, etc. Now, if I was to do something else, like I was to do, let's say, uh, dentist, and let's go best dentist, Atlanta, Georgia. Well, I'm going to get some other options here too, right? Or if I was to go roofing, Atlanta, Georgia. Here we are. We've got some of the sponsored results here. So we can see that we have 3 ads. I always skip past these. We go down, we see the maps. Lots of people spent time on the maps here. And then we also have these other websites as well. And sometimes we even have AI search results pulling in at the top now. And so this is what we see when we do searches. And we have a lot of products at Vendasta that are designed to kind of help this journey along. So in the Vendasta Marketplace, you'll see that you go to that marketplace, discover products. We have all kinds of products. So you'll even see one of the first products here is a 1,200 word SEO optimized blog post. We have other SEO solutions with all kinds of different price points. One of my goals by the end of today's session to make sure that you have a firm understanding of the what you get for these different price points and what you should be looking for when it comes to SEO. And seriously, we've got a lot, right? You can scroll, scroll, scroll. We have some content, but also in our listing section, we have things like the local SEO. And so, how does this all fit together? Well, I'm looking to kind of break that down. Now, we do have actually a pretty good panel here of people who understand SEO, lots of threes, fours, and fives. So, I'm going to lean a little bit more on you guys to kind of come up with some of these answers. Okay. So here we are. We got paid ads, local and maps, organic. It's important to get to the top, right? In case you didn't know, SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's the work that goes into a website to get it on the first page of Google. And now I'd also say it's the work that's being done to make sure it's one of the suggestions for for AI, because people are sometimes going to search for AI. Now, I would say a lot of the fundamentals still apply. AI will win when they suggest the things that people are looking for. And so they want something that's recommendable, trustworthy, etc. Right? So when you optimize for SEO, you're also optimizing for other types of search like AI search and voice search. Okay. So to make sure that you get to that first page or even higher up in the results, well, you need to do things that search engines like, so that they will recommend you more often, right? Making sure that your customers are going to be in the places they need to be when somebody is searching for product and service. And I would say that it's about the work that's being done to make sure you're able to get to that first page. And work is really the key word. Some small businesses have the time for this extra work and don't need outside help. But the reality is that SEO is complicated. Most people don't have the knowledge, technical know-how, or time to do it on their own. And that's why, well, people will turn to you. Now, uh, Google is the most important visitor that a site will ever have. If Google doesn't like the website or even can't find the site, then you'll never be on the first page of Google search results. With SEO, you can really make sure that Google puts your site high in the rankings for the right keyword searches. And there are two major factors that Google looks at when trying to decide who the best answer is for a search. And that is relevance and trust. Relevance has everything to do with your website. Things like the correct code on the back end, the right content on the website itself. So, relevance is really the things that we see on sites. And trust is measured by the number of other websites that are talking or linking back to the website. And really, the more websites that talk about you and link back to your website, the more trusted you become. So, trust is offsite. Now, the most relevant and most trusted source is usually the things that are recommended. So, uh, we need to do the work, get our clients, right? Or in your case, your clients up to the first page. And so, what is that type of work? So, when it comes to building relevance, what are the types of actions that we might do to have Google read our sites and our business and suggest it to be the first thing? So, how do we make sure that the site is relevant? All right. Let me know in the chat. I want to know, what are the types of work that would be done to make the website relevant? All right. So Joshua says content. Content. Okay. Meta tags, keyword filled content. Okay. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. This is good. Get descriptive out there. Keywords. Okay. Anything else? What else really builds the on site portion of SEO? Value, link name structure. Ruben asks, how this will this compare with LLMO? So large language model searches. Uh, the same thing. It's the same foundations, right? AI wants to suggest the best businesses. They all have their own algorithms, but they're all fighting to recommend the best businesses. And so there's lots of ways they could optimize for that. And that might change the game a little bit, but it really is still a similar process. making sure the info is correct, backlinks, etc. Okay, so that's relevance. And then let's talk about trust for a second. What are the things that will make uh, people understand that this site is an authority, that it is one to be trusted, one that it can recommend? What are the types of work that you would do to bring that bring that out of the business, right? So, what is Google looking for when it's looking for the trust aspect of the website? What are the types of work that could be done? So, reviews, Better Business Bureau, backlinks, listing, directory reviews. Okay, keep it coming, keep it coming. Now, pretend that you have a client who, their site is relevant, the but overall they need to build that trust, right? So, how are they going to do that? What's the type of work that you would be doing for your client? Page optimization, user experience. Okay, good, good, good. Anything else? We'll give it 5 more seconds. Okay, good. I like some of the answers that I'm seeing, and this is good. So, when it comes to doing this work on SEO, right? I really break it down into three categories. Joshua, you just said it. I think of it as there is the technical aspects of SEO, there is the on site aspects of SEO, and the off site aspects of SEO. And I would argue that both relevance and trust do have the aspects of the technical SEO. But if relevance is on site and trust is off site, take a look at some of the work that would be done uh, for that business. So when it comes to on site, right? The on site portion of SEO, I think most small business owners think that their website is effective because it looks good, but it is so important to understand how Google views the website. Google looks at the website's code, doesn't care how pretty the site is. If the code isn't optimized, then Google will either keep you off the first page or your clients off the first page, sorry, or may not even see them at all. And another factor is mobile devices. If your site isn't mobile friendly, Google will move you down. Is it something that is uh, uh, okay for experience, even for people who might not be able to use the internet the same way that we do, where they might have disabilities, and so navigating the internet is something that needs to be covered. Right? Does it have the right type of content on it in the first place? Right. So Google needs to figure out what is this website actually saying? What is it doing? And so critical that you have relevant content on your site that integrates the keywords local buyers are really searching for. And the speed of your website is, yeah, important too. You can think of the whole user experience as being important. Google checks to see how quickly your site loads when considering who to rank first. Uh, Posting great content regularly is one of the best things that you can do to get ranked by Google and keep potential customers interested in the business. And across our SEO tools and vendors, it's all designed to achieve these sorts of things. Now, if you think about it, things like Google Analytics as well, it provides a great lens into the website, but also with Google Analytics, kind of a two-way relationship. Uh, Google can also see how people who come from a Google search navigate and use the website. So if somebody is looking for emergency plumber services and they come into your website and they bounce out really quickly. So they enter the website and they're back to Google and going to the next website, the bad sign, right? So Google takes into account these things. So Google Analytics can tell you lots of information, but they also use that to mine data on if this was the correct search. They also just use different Google accounts and queries. So even if you didn't have Google Analytics set up, they will still look to see if their searcher continues on their search or if they're satisfied. And these are all things that are taken into account, right? Now, there's no perfect way to gamify the SEO system, and the algorithm changes all the time. there are thousands of changes to the algorithms that Google uses to use its search and AI engines are using for their search. They are constantly updating their parameters. And so it's impossible uh, to always know the exact formula of things to guarantee you're in the top spot. And there are fluctuations just based on how the algorithm is weighting things at that certain time. So Google's looking for these things on your site. Do we have alt text for the videos and images? What's the meta tag looking like? So that was good. When it came to the offsite side of things, this is where we're really going to be looking at, you know, third party, um, third party backlinks, right? So trust is really that offsite portion of SEO, and there are a lot of websites that have the right content and are relevant. So Google has to sift through those websites and determine who it really trusts the most. And the most basic way that Google determines trust is by how many uh, websites link back to you. At least that's how they used to do it. But it's also the quality of those backlinks. And it helps build this trust and authority in the eyes of Google. So building trust with Google is similar to real life relationships. It takes time. It's done through a variety of small yet meaningful things that build up to greater and greater trust. And it can't necessarily be bought. It's just like personal relationships. Quality is more rewarding than quantity. You can really think of it as the online reputation for a website. So, how do other websites that are relevant and maybe have a big audience reference you? And there are lots of things that you can do in terms of SEO work to help improve that for your clients. You could do things like business directory submissions, like we get through local SEO, custom blog publications, article publications being in uh, referenced in some larger sites listicles, right? Uh, you could have infographics, syndication, offsite content marketing. There's a lot of things that can be done here to improve this. Now, uh, with our, again, SEO tools and products, services, it can really range in terms of how much this is worked upon. So we'll kind of take a look at those. And one thing I want to mention is when we look at things like local SEO, we're really looking at affecting this. So a lot of times our partners are confused around local SEO. My nightmare situation is when a partner comes in and they say, we have local SEO for our client with the listing builder and the citation builder. And that's great. And they say, we've been telling our clients that they're going to be on the first page of Google in no time. And now they are upset because they're not on the first page of Google. What gives? This is supposed to be an SEO tool. And it is. The the places that you get listed, the citations that listings corrects, it helps build trust and authority based on what Google has on you. And it definitely makes you more recommendable, especially at a local level. But it's not going to win every single search term. And it really depends on the competition that's around you. If you were to do that in a smaller city of 60,000 people, just having the listings, it's a low enough hanging fruit that by having that consistent, you might be the top recommendation. But other times, it's going to just be the bare minimum to be in the top 100 or top 10 pages of Google. And so, usually, the larger the cities, the less effect that something like local SEO itself will have. It's just the bare minimum. If you don't have it, it's going to really drag you down. If you do have it, you still need to do everything else that isn't covered here in the local SEO. So when it comes to trust, there's also age of the website and a couple of other factors that matter. And you Joshua is saying it does take time to rank, and that's very important, right? My next slide here actually talks about time a little bit. So the way that I really like to think about the work that needs to get done for SEO, yeah, is It's like trying to build a really great physique, right? So if you want to have a really great physique, there is nothing that you can do, right? So if I want to have a great physique, right, very different from what I am today, there is no amount of money that I could spend to give me that physique overnight. There has to be constant work being done. And so I really like to think of it as working out. This work needs to be happening at an ongoing rate, and we got to keep working out to get that physique. And once we get it, we actually need to keep doing that work to maintain it, because you could get your dream physique, and if you just stop working out, it'll melt right off of you. It is a cruel, it is a cruel, but very real thing. And so the SEO process I like to think of as that. There's nothing you can do. There are ways. If you spent more money, you could get the perfect diet, get the perfect trainer, the perfect dietitian. You could, right? If you spend enough, you can really stack the odds in your favor. You can shorten the time it takes to get that great physique. And if you're just trying to figure it out by yourself, that's hard, right? And if you imagine trying to figure that out before the world of the internet, would have been so difficult. But now it, even it doesn't matter what you do; it just won't happen overnight. And SEO is very much the same way. There's lots of reasons for that. Now I see Lily mentions here. Um, Lily asked, okay, okay. So I see a question here. Let me come back to that, Lily, in a moment. But I want to talk about the SEO process, and then I'll mention that too. So when it comes to that SEO process, right? This is what we're looking at. So first, it's going to start with things like the here. Let me use the laser pointer here. So uh, the website audit keyword selection. So this is really the process that starts with an audit of the website and where it is, and keyword selection. What are the most high value keywords that you can focus on? And so, at that point, you'd want to do that full audit, determine which keywords on Google will be the most beneficial. At that point, you would do the on site optimization. So, the different components that we talked about, we want to make sure that they're correct and that uh, it's modeled for the different type of uh, keywords that we looked at that we found through our audit. This helps visitors and search engines easily understand what you do, why you do it, and how you're relevant. You want to make sure that when Google finds it and they look through the code, that they can figure it out. Then it comes to the offsite optimization, and that's the promotion of your business online through high quality content, uh, having authority figures linking back to your website, right? Which helps. It screams that you're an authority here. Other businesses are referencing yours. Um, and other time tested marketing tactics help build that offsite optimization. This shows your website visitors and search engines that you're a trusted source for the product or service that you're providing. And of course, right, at that point, you're going to want to reference some of the reporting. So, having real time access to how things are changing, like through tools like our local SEO dashboard or through our SEO vendors and tools, you can start to make some educated decisions. Now, over time, your rankings will improve, increase sales, and you do this process over and over and over again. And you constantly do it. Now, when it comes to setting realistic timelines, right? First thing that's needed is a realistic budget for the work that needs to be done. But after that, I would say that the SEO process really takes months to start seeing some of the results, right? In the early days of Google, it was really easy to kind of gamify the system and reach the first page very quickly. But Google is pretty smart and they don't just let people cheat their way to the top anymore. Effective SEO takes time. If you really have to earn that trust from Google, right? They're not looking for a flash in the pan, somebody that's promising something and burning really bright for a short amount of time. They want you to slowly win over their trust. If someone has promised you, if somebody is promised the first page rankings in a very short time, they're either not being honest or using SEO methods that are not on the up and up. And so doing SEO the right way builds equity in a site, right? And I think things like pay per click and AdWord campaigns, they get results, but traffic stops as soon as the ads expire. So with SEO, you own that relevancy and trust that has been built with search engines like Google, and it provides long lasting results. And something to mention here is that depending on the competition and the density of that competition, it can really affect things. And we mentioned this a little bit earlier, but right, if you're trying to be the number one lawyer in New York, New York, the number one injury lawyer in New York City, New York, your budget is going to be immense. We're talking in the tens of thousands of dollars per month or more, because that spot, the first page spot, is worth a lot. And they need to be paying a lot for SEO because they're not going to be doing that work themselves, right? Uh, for that spot. And there are tons of other people spending a ton of money too, and they're all fighting for that spot. And so that is a very expensive and competitive category. Now, if you want to be the number one rabbit groomer in New York City, New York, it is still a big city, but your budget won't have to be as high as trying to be the number one lawyer, right? So if you have a bigger market, it will cost more money on average. If you're in a bigger market, but you're in a less competitive category, that changes things a bit. So competition is a vector, and so is population density, because there's just going to be more people vying for that spot. You want to be the top piano tuner in New York City, New York. A little bit of SEO will probably go a long way. I think there are probably about 1,000 of them in New York City. And so, you just have to beat all of them. And a lot of people don't even try. So, okay, you're really competing with probably a good 60 to 80. All right. So, a little bit of SEO, how far will that take you? If you do a medium amount of SEO, that might put you right in number one over time. Okay. So, market competitiveness is one of those vectors. Industry competitiveness is the other one, right? And then if you're in a smaller market, same thing. Being the number one lawyer in a city of 60,000, there might be a couple of people spending money on SEO, but you won't have to spend nearly as much. You don't need to do as much work, right? We're not trying to fight for the best physique in New York City, New York. That's going to be very tough, but doing it in a small town of 60,000, a little bit easier. So I really like this idea of this working out sort of a image for SEO. I think it communicates it very well, but the type of work that needs to get done. Now, Lily had this question that came over from Jason on page speed. I'm just starting my templated website with Vendasta, but I notice Squarespace, Weebly, Wix all seem slow on the business snapshot. Will the new Vendasta site rank high in speed? So there's a couple of things that matter for speeds. One of the things that could potentially help with speeds is using a CDN. It's one of the best ways to do something like that. And I know that like we often recommend using something like Nitroflare to deliver that website faster, better. But yes, we're following practices to have a SEO friendly website. Now, with any type of builder on something like WordPress, it is a tool. And how you use that tool will determine if the site is fast or not. So WordPress is interesting in that you can use builders on WordPress, and it can be the slowest website you'll ever make, right? It could be the worst. You can easily overload it. But if you know what you're doing, you can do a lot. The thing when it comes to things like Wix, Weebly, Square, they are proprietary. There are things that you cannot control. And what I find is that things for like Wix websites, they tend to have a cap. No matter how good you are at Wix, you cannot beat some of the more open-ended uh, websites that you can have on something like WordPress, because there's just more freedom. But more freedom means more responsibility, of course. So these proprietary, you know, building platforms for websites, there is a range to how much can be done. You're not going to have access over the source code. You're just going to have to rely on their optimizations for these things. What I find is that almost always, yeah, they tend to be slower. I don't think they necessarily care about having, incredible SEO, because you think about it, a lot of times who they're really selling to are people who just need a website, build it yourself, make your own website sort of a thing, right? And so they just need a website. And there are things you can do on those sites for SEO. It's just you don't have access to the entire spread. So I think you're noticing something that is very true. Um, and through things like WordPress, you can do more, right? It's just more open ended. If you were to create your own custom websites, if you were to use something like um, Joomla or something like that, right? Or maybe a Python library for some of your websites. Well, those are all things that you have a lot of control and responsibility for. So, just a quick thought on that. I hope that kind of answers your question there, Jason. Let me know. Okay. So, SEO, it has a couple of vectors that affect the cost. And, you know, it depends on the work that's getting done, right? And so there's a body of work that can get done for that. And there are different ways that we can look at SEO to see how um what are the most high value things to get done. You can do an SEO audit, those sorts of things. I really want to get us into the platform to look at some of these options again. So, what have we learned? Uh we have learned that I'm going to take us back to the beginning here. So, we went through, we understand search a little bit. Now we understand that Google needs relevancy and trust, and there are certain types of work that do that. Now we have different products, different categories here. I want you to remember this. Local SEO is one of the lowest hanging fruit that can get some immediate results. People do this, businesses almost universally do this really poorly. So it's easy to just slingshot ahead. And if nobody is really doing SEO correctly, like some markets are, well, it, this alone can get you some massive results. Now, if we have more competitiveness, if we have a larger market, this might just be the bare minimum. And we need to start looking at these other types of things. So let's go into the Vendasta Marketplace and kind of break down what we see. The first thing that I want to mention is, of course, we talked about the foundations. This is all important for building it. We know that search engines take into account things like reviews. We know that they take into account things like uh, 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 the location of where you're searching, those sorts of things, of course, right? They're trying to do things that are relevant. They want somebody that is listed properly online, and that is solved through our local SEO, Listing Sync Pro solutions, and Citation Builder. So, local SEO is a great dashboard. I highly recommend anytime that you provide local SEO. We have a standard version and a pro version. The pro version has fantastic tracking here for multiple different keywords. So here we've got Saskatoon kitten adoptions, and we can see that this business here is first place. It's just like the snapshot report showing at a local level how they're actually showing up, right? And so we have all kinds of different maps here. You can track multiple different maps of local keywords and see how things are changing over time. And this is a great dashboard to show your clients so that they can understand how some of the work you're doing is affecting this. Now, one thing that I have lots of partners coming to me about is they say, we've been doing the listings, we've been doing everything the same. Why have they fallen down in the rankings? And that's because Google changes how it weights some of these things. Um, Google has to keep changing their algorithm because people are always trying to reverse engineer it. Anybody who could figure out or had access to the entire algorithm and could gamify it would be very, very rich. And so it's a constant battle of people trying to catch up and Google optimizing for things that they think are important. And that changes all the time. And Google weights differently. And Google lies a lot. If you've done SEO work before, if you follow things like SEO Journal, um, Google will say things like, yeah, local citations don't really matter. And then last year we had a leak of their search algorithm, uh, which was hundreds, if not over 1,000 pages, where it actually showed they were weighting it way more than they thought. It was interesting. There was a lot of observations from there. And then, of course, Google had to do a huge pivot. So they completely upended the algorithm. And that document isn't as relevant. But it's really interesting to see what Google says and we're saying up until that moment. And then when it actually came out, oh, they sometimes lie. And of course, like the number one way to get in the good graces of Google is just to do everything you should be doing, right? Try and be the best recommendation for their customers, who are the people who are searching, right? And if you do that for Google, you do that for OpenAI. And if you do that for OpenAI, you do it for Bing and DuckDuckGo and everything else under the sun. Bing, you know? All right. And so this map here, though, it really shows at a local level how things are going for a business. And so I really like having all these different keyword searches uh, for businesses. Now, local SEO, of course, you're going to want to use the Listing Sync Pro and the Citation Builder. Uh, so we've already talked about those at length. We won't talk about them too much more. Listing Sync Pro helps sync with dozens and dozens and dozens of different listing sites that will uh, be synced up really quickly, right? So if you change a phone number, address, if you have special store hours, that gets pushed out quickly and reflected on those websites. And we have Citation Builder, which takes information for a business, the most recent information. When people come and ask these large data aggregators for that information, we give them the most recent copy. And so it slowly builds out more of those citations. So this is a low hanging fruit, highly recommended for almost every business. Once you start creating snapshot reports, you will see how pitiful businesses are at this. It is just difficult. It is a full time job to maintain all of these things. The sync products are just a no brainer for almost everybody. Now, the other thing that I would say is we have our content section. And in our content section, you're going to see all sorts of things. 1,200 word SEO optimized blog posts, blog package, blog post monthly, right? Industry level content creation by ALM, monthly backlink DA 30 plus on 500 word guest post, premium level content. Really quickly, everybody, what is meant here when it says backlink DA 30 plus? Let me know in the chat. We've got some SEO experts here, and this has definitely been a better, like a stronger, more educated session than usual. So let me know, what is a DA 30 plus? Yeah, good, good, good. Yeah, you guys know your stuff. That's awesome. All right. So, like was said, it's domain authority. And so websites have, when they build trust, right? They will gain domain authority when you have, let's say that you get a backlink on a website that has a low domain authority. Well, that's not going to give a lot of weight. If you were to get a citation by Wikipedia, if you were to get a citation by the Food Network and you're a restaurant, that is worth its weight in gold. They have a high domain authority, and one backlink from them can be the same as hundreds or thousands of lower level backlinks, right? And so when we see some of the products like this, monthly backlink DA 30 plus and 500 word guest posts, well, it's a mouthful, but it just means that you're going to have a high quality backlink on a relevant blog or something like that. So if you're looking for content, which is definitely one of the vectors for SEO, right? Like if we go back here, we know that content is a big part of this, because and content that's optimized with source code is a big part for Google understanding what you do and also recommending maybe some of those articles to people who are looking for them, right? So if I'm looking for how to do a bathroom renovation in Toronto, if I stumbled across a blog that was kind of walking me through the process of what I need to consider and the permits I need to get, et cetera. And it was coming from one of these businesses. Well, I might go on their blog, right? And so that is useful, and it helps Google let them know that, hey, uh, these guys definitely do this work because they can recommend the entire process. Okay, so let's jump back in here. So that's the content side of things. So sometimes the citations, sometimes that's what's needed. Sometimes it's content, and I think that lots of websites are very stagnant. They don't have constantly updating content. I have had partners, I've talked to partners where they have said, "Oh, blogs. Why would we need a blog?" A blog is not necessarily meant, especially for businesses, to be read casually. I don't think people are looking for journal entries from an emergency plumber, right? Talking about how hard their day was. Uh, Instead, they're looking for educational information. And Google's going to use that to understand what they do, right? And so those blogs can really be this ongoing sense of informing search engines on what they do. And so, uh, you know, uh, a lot of times partners will come to me and they'll say, blogs, why would they have a blog? Well, it's to continuously publish information so that search engines are aware of the things that they do. And Jason asks a good question. Blogs will help with AI search. And so this question has come up a lot during the boot camp. And I want you to think about this. Why do we all use Google instead of Bing? Right? You know, we used to use MySpace instead of Facebook. And Facebook is now Instagram. Instagram, I mean, why do we use YouTube over Daily Motion? Right? Like how have they done it? Because you got to think at one point, Daily Motion was bigger than YouTube. Uh, and MySpace was bigger than Facebook. And it's not just because they bought their way up to the top or something like that. I mean, they were real startups. YouTube was a startup and then bought out by Google, but the the entire idea, how did Instagram before it was bought out by Facebook take market share away from Facebook? It's interesting, right? So, uh good question. And they do it by being better, by doing something uniquely, by bringing something unique to the table. How did WhatsApp beat messaging in most places of the world, right? Uh, Most North Americans, like there's a really high number of iPhones in North America, but uh, everywhere else in the world, we see like lots of Android phones. And how did WhatsApp become the de facto, right? More and more people are using WhatsApp, and it's because it's just the best, right? They're good, or they're good at something that other things can't be, right? And so, uh, when we do things for our clients, like create content that makes it relevant, well, that's useful for these search engines because they need to determine who's the best. And I don't think that the search engine that grabs all the businesses locally and randomizes them will win. And so, what will they use to determine these businesses that they can't really tend to? Well, they're going to have to look through the content, and they're going to have to look at the reviews, and they're going to have to look at this big picture, right? What is their social presence like? And maybe you can actually take in more vectors than something like search does. Uh, And the thing is, it's all the same because what we're really doing, right? For search engines, we're playing by the rules so that we are looked upon favorably by those search engines. A search engine powered by AI, just the exact same thing, right? So if I go to look up like the best barbers, around. So let's just go to generic chat GPT really quickly. This is interesting. All right. So let's go. They logged out here. Okay. Best best barber shop for fine hair in New York. And it's going to come, it's searching the web. It's going to pull some of those best options. And here we've got a couple of options. Now, how did they find them? Well, we know that it searched the web, probably not that different from what we're doing. And so if we then went, best barber for fine hair in New York City, and we look it up, it is different. It is different. So uh, the thing is, though, it's a relatively similar process, right? I'm sure that there are some like this. The point is they're going to look through the content. You can see that it's done that. My hair looks even better than the reference pictures. Uh, Praise for consistent layered styles. That's on Reddit. So it's searching Reddit as well. We can see a lot of this came from Reddit. But we can also see the modest man here. Okay. So there's like different ways that it's searching, but it's searching really for backlinks, it's looking like here, right? For some real, and you can see the sources. But I really think that this strategy is just so similar. And so Josh asks, do we have a more all in one? And yes, we do. So let me take us to the last thing. So, anyways, I just wanted to kind of say that so we could put it out there that these are two algorithms. And just because it's AI doesn't mean it really has much more beyond something like Google. I actually think that AI, like this is Google's bread and butter, right? They've been doing this for so long that they do it best. And we could go to Google's AI search and compare and see all that. But the point is that um, the way that it was found for OpenAI was they did searches and they clicked links and reviewed things very much the same way that we would. So all it's doing is kind of automating the actual point and click for us at this point. But eventually, if it wants to really dethrone things, right? Well, they're going to need to just look up these fundamentals themselves. And how are they finding these things at the top, anyways? Through Google, right? They're searching somehow, and so they're just searching the web. Uh, and so it is the exact same thing. A business that is on the 1,000th page of Google will never be found by AI, and that's just the truth. Instead, it was finding the things on the first page and summarizing it. That's it. All right. So, great question here from Joshua. So, okay, you've talked to us about content and about the local citations. Am I just going to be building all this from scratch? Well, this is where we have our SEO section. And we have fully managed services here by third-party SEO vendors. All of our SEO vendors, they have thousands of, tens of thousands of clients each. It is not easy to get into the Vendasta Marketplace. The amount of revenue and the amount of clients they have to serve is very high. So we have the best of the best SEO vendors here. And then we use our partner audience to negotiate the best rates. The Vendasta advantage of being a partner, right? You get the rates that we've negotiated for you. And so you'll see things like ALM. They're a company, they do end to end optimization. They have different price points, accent SEO. When we start looking at these options that are, well up in the hundreds or thousands of dollars per month, we're talking about fully encompassing SEO. So if we look at something like Boostability, Boostability is a managed service where they have a technology that allows them to analyze websites, and they find out what is the most important thing that they need right now. And so they then pump that out in their pipeline, create it, post it, and they have ongoing review and analysis. Sometimes that's a backlink. Sometimes it's content. Sometimes it's on-site optimization. And so they do everything: local factors, competitive factors, website technologies, on-site, off-site. So they really do end to end. And so what I recommend is we have lots of these, ALM, Boostability, Accent. This is what I recommend doing is when you have a client that you want to do SEO for, go and schedule a call with these guys and just talk to them about their process and go with your gut, right? We have Zosi SEO. We have 6 or 7 of these vendors. And the great thing about this is when we have all these vendors in the marketplace, they have to be really competitive with each other. And so we get even better rates for you guys because uh, these SEO vendors make a killing through the Vendasta Marketplace, right? We don't do it because they already have tens of thousands of data points. We don't really want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. They can conduct experiments and see how this big blob of data points shifts and changes to the ongoing changes to um to search. And so if anybody can reverse engineer the search engine, it's somebody with 40,000 data points, right? Then we have other things like Search Atlas, right? An SEO tool. There's a suite of tools for website owners, digital marketers. We have things like Link Graph and Hike SEO. You might be familiar with things like Hike SEO, where you'll have a dashboard which helps you prioritize on the things that you should do. And it gives you some tools that are helpful for you to use and some great data and analytics. Now, of course, they also upsell things within their tool, right? That help get things done. And you have the option to also pay for the Hike SEO folk to come in and do some of the work. And so that's how Hike SEO works. It's more of a tool that's designed for a business owner for you to come in and do that work. We have things like Market Goo. Market Goo. Okay, so I love Market Goo. If I've ever had a partner who wants to do SEO themselves, or they have a client that wants to do SEO themselves, I said, you should use Market Goo. Market Goo is great. Market Goo is a fantastic solution that really simplifies. Like, I would say this is the most business owner friendly DIY tool I've ever seen. They go through, it tells them what they should do, what they should focus on, and it gives them the tasks. It kind of breaks it down for you. And then once businesses actually see all the work they need to do to make this actually work, almost always they come back to the partner and say, hey, can you just take this off my hands? I'll pay anything. And so I love Market Goo, right? It is the best first step to realizing you are way in over your head. I've also had partners who don't know anything about SEO who are like, yep, I'll just figure it out myself. How can I do it? What's a tool? Use Market Goo. Same thing. They'll eventually end up paying for it themselves because it's just so much work. Now, it does a great job of pointing those things out, right? We also have Hike SEO. Hike SEO is very similar. A lot of the people that use Hike, they like love it. So if you're looking to do that SEO work for your clients, Hike SEO is a direction that I can recommend. But if you want it just done for you, there's just these big vendors, like they just have so much power and data behind them that and we have this internal competition that it's great. So I want you to just think about that, okay? There are lots of ways that you can kind of go after the SEO beast here, but my recommendation is, uh, you know, these DIY tools are great, but you need to analyze it often. If your client says, "Yeah, I'll do it," and you give it to them, have a real serious conversation with them about how things have or have not changed in 2 to 3 months, right? And see if they're doing the work. And if not, then you can come in and do the work. Or if not, you can have these third party vendors come in and do the work. And we have ones that are like at lower price points. But again, all of these budgets are going to depend on the competition, market, etc. So that's where I recommend having conversations with these guys and getting a demonstration. So we have the full SEO suite of tools, right? We have local citations built out. And I really think that's almost for everybody because it's a low hanging fruit or it's the bare minimum that will really help. At least it will push things up or at least get you to a point where you're in a position where that's the least amount of trust required, right? Content is great if they need content. If that's all they need and they follow really great SEO practices, they have somebody internal doing their SEO beyond just their website on-site optimization, fantastic. Content might be the thing that they need. Okay. And if not, these SEO vendors and solutions are really great. And so we have everything from really inexpensive solutions to full blown national campaign services. I personally have worked with a partner to sell a $10,000 a month SEO campaign, right? We landed it, got it. It was awesome. And the budgets vary wildly. If you want to have a country, like a national campaign for something relatively competitive, those are the budgets we're talking about. So, anyways, This is taking us to the end of the session, my friends. I see the time. So, any last minute questions about SEO that I can help with? My goal here was to maybe catch you where you're at with SEO and share something with you. Hopefully, you've learned something. And if not, uh, right, the other goal was to kind of explain and demystify all these products in the Vendasta Marketplace. Because even if you know everything about SEO, I'm going to save you a bunch of time instead of having to go through 100 pages here, right? So I'm going to help you narrow down your focus on some of the solutions we have. Any last minute questions? And if there's no last minute questions, I would love to just understand if you got value out of the session. And so if you could give me a score of 1 to 5 on what you thought about today's session, I would love to see it. This is the last session of the boot camp. And believe it or not, this is the last boot camp. They are so for future months, you'll still have access to the recording, all that good stuff. But they're going to be doing some webinars where they're looking at just a couple of topics every single week. And so that's going to be really exciting and cool. There'll be some new faces doing it. But this is the final boot camp 2 years in. We knew this from the beginning. And we were like, let's just give it one last great performance. So I want to thank all of you for coming to the boot camp and investing in yourselves and making it awesome. This has been a very interactive group and some really great questions. So I want to thank you. And please stay in touch with us. Use the things at your disposal, like office hours, to come meet up with me and Lily. Bring your sales opportunities. Got a question about SEO? No problem. Come check that out. And also watch for webinars. There's going to be more and more webinars coming out now. There's going to be weekly webinars, but also these one-time webinars that I highly recommend. One that I wasn't able to recommend yesterday, but should have, is there's something called Workflow Wednesdays for anybody who's interested in automations and really about advancing AI. All right, everybody. It has been so wonderful. I want to thank you for everything. And it has been wonderful having all of you. So thank you. This is a great finale to 2 or 2.5 years of boot camp. So thank you, everybody. It has been wonderful. I hope you stay awesome. Stay awesome. Keep conquering local. And hey, see you when I see you. Thank you, everybody. All right. With that, we're out.